This conference will now be recorded.
So today let us go with one more and very important framework which we use while developing projects nowadays. That is Spring framework. Very important, compulsory, you need to practice this. So what is this Spring framework is? We say Spring framework is an application framework. Application means any type of application we can develop using Spring. By using Spring, we can develop what? Any type of applications. It may be standalone applications, it may be database related applications, it may be web applications, it may be enterprise applications. Any type of application we can develop by using Spring. That's the reason it has come as what? Application framework. Now, Spring framework is used to develop robust means strong, robust web applications and enterprise applications. Web applications and enterprise applications very easily and rapidly. Very easily and rapidly. Right? Now, in this Spring, we are having one very important term called as dependency injection. This term is very important to understand more about Spring framework. So what is this dependency injection? Is like Spring is mostly identified with dependency injection, which is a flavor of inversion of control, a reverse way of doing. Let me elaborate more on this dependency injection. Like example, if you are considering a card, if you are having a class card means a bank related card, it can be like debit card, credit card, like that. So let us suppose we are having a class card. Let us consider we are having a class bank. In bank, we are going to use the card, means we create object of card here, card equal to new card. So we are using new operator in order to create the object. This is very important to understand here. This is important to understand. So what you are having? So we are having a class card, we are having class bank. In bank, directly we are creating object of your card here, right? So if you are writing the code in this format, when you create bank object, when you are creating bank object, so what is going to happen? It's going to create bank object. It's going to create bank object. And in this class bank, we are directly creating card object. So card object will get created inside your bank object. So in this case, we say these two objects were what? Tightly coupled. We said these two objects were what here? Tightly coupled. Coupled means dependent. Coupled means what? Dependent. So in this case, if you are writing the code in this format, the objects are what? Tightly coupled. So when you are having tight coupled applications, they are not robust. So performance wise, they are very low. They are not robust. The reasons behind that is, so you are directly referring to a card here. So but what type of card it is? In future, you may go with a debit card, credit card. So which card you are referring? That is also important to us. So any changes to your card, again we have to come back to your bank class and we have to modify our code. So when the card is changing, like in future you may go with a debit card or debit card. debit card or credit card. So when the card class is getting modified, every time we have to come to bank and modify our code. So testing process also will get increased here. So these are not robust applications. So we should not go with the tight coupled applications. So what is the point here? In the above code, bank object and card object are tightly coupled. Coupled means dependent. Now, let us write the same code in some other format. Like here we are having what we are going to do to go with the loose coupling. So what we are saying about card, it can be any type of card, like it can be credit card or debit card, but we don't know what type of card we are going to add it here. So either I may go with the debit card or I may go with credit card, but you should be able to manage both the cards. So when you want to manage both the cards, your thinking should go to hierarchy. So what we do, we create one interface card. We create what? One interface card. To go with loose coupling, this is the steps we have to follow. Create one interface card and now create a class debit card which implements card. Debit card which implements card. So debit card is what? It's a card only. Now we can have a class credit card which implements card. So we are having two subclasses here now for card. So it can be debit card or it can be credit card. Now if you are creating class bank, in bank what we do, we just create only this card as property. We are not using new card like this. This is not suggested way of writing code. So just we have to create only card reference only. We have to create only card reference. This we call it as property. This we call it as what? Property. The data members only we call property. Now bank has card here. Bank has card. Now it can be any type of card. It can be debit card or it can be credit card. That is decided during runtime. What type of card you are injecting here. Now how to give value to this? We make use of a constructor. We go with a constructor which takes card as an argument. And we'll say this dot card equal to card. Now in the test class or main class, we create reference of card DC equal to new debit card CC equal to new credit card. So here we are creating two references. DC is referring to debit card, DC is referring to CC is referring to credit card. Now when you create bank object, bank one equal to new bank, and to the second pass DC as argument. See, since I am passing DC, it's referring to what? Debit card. But since debit card implements card, so this can even accept the argument of what? No, debit card also. So now this card, whatever you are taking, it can even accept any type of card. Now the card can be any type now. It can be debit card or credit card. So whatever the reference you are passing, my bank class can able to manage any type of cards. Okay. So if you are creating one more like bank 2 equal to new bank. Now it can even accept credit card also. See here, this constructor can able to accept any type of cards. In the future, if you add some more new cards also, I need not touch this bank class. So this bank class is going to work for any type of card. So in this case, what is happening? We are having bank one object. We are having bank one object, and we are having debit card. Right? We are having bank two object, and we are having credit card. So now I'm injecting this debit card reference to this bank one, and we are injecting this credit card reference to bank two. So injecting one object into another, This concept only we call dependency injection. This only we call what here? Dependency injection. Since bank is dependent on card, so we are injecting this object into bank here. So we are injecting this object into what here? Bank. Using what? A constructor. Using a constructor. So this concept only we call dependency injection. And in this case, these objects are what? Loosely coupled. These objects are what here? Loosely coupled. So you can say in the above code, card objects and bank objects are loosely coupled. So always we have to go with loose coupled applications. Means any changes to the dependency is happening, any changes to this code, any changes here. In future, if you add some more new type of code, I need not come to bank and modify the code. That such type of coding only we call loosely coupled applications. Always we have to go with loose coupled applications. Clear up to here all of you the meaning of dependency injection? Right? Now, then what is the role of Spring over here? I can even write this type of codes without using Spring also. But what is the need of Spring? Let us understand. So in order to understand that, let us understand one concept here called as life cycle of an object. Life cycle of an object. So what is life cycle of an object is? We have to create object creation, then object usage, then that means using the object, then object destruction. Object destruction. Now in Java, object destruction, Java object destruction is taken care by Java as Java is automatic garbage collection. As Java is automatic garbage collection, so this destruction is taken care by Java only. Okay, then now let us understand the problem over here. So when you are creating objects as a Java programmer, when we are creating objects as a Java programmer, then what is the drawback over here? Let us understand. So let us suppose whenever we are creating objects in Java, objects are created where? In heap memory, a temporary memory, a part of RAM memory. The objects are created in heap memory. Let us suppose in a block of statements, block means what? This curly brace. This curly brace we call it as block. Now in this block, let us suppose we are creating some objects. So you can even call it as a block or scope. You can call it as block or scope. Now in this scope, we are creating some objects like object 1, object 2, object 3. Like that we are creating 100 objects, let us suppose. Now when these objects are ready for garbage collection, when the objects are ready for garbage collection, when you come out of scope, only the objects are ready for what? Garbage collection. Then only Java will take care of destructing these objects. Now let us suppose object usage is completed within the scope only. Within the scope only object usage is completed. Even though object usage is completed, still it is going to use the memory. It is not ready for garbage collection because only when you come out of scope only the objects are ready for garbage collection. So object using the memory unnecessarily here. Like that, if you are having so many objects which are using the memory unnecessarily, the performance will get degraded. You might have observed in your mobile or laptop, like if many apps are opened and if the memory is full, the performance will get degraded. Same problem here also. Okay, then now what is the role of programmer now? Now programmer has to identify the objects which are no longer used and make that objects ready for garbage collection. So programmer has to identify now. So here we have to make this object to ready for garbage collection. So what we have to do? We have to assign to null. Or we are using close method now. When you go with the database connections, we call it close method. When you do file processing also, we call it close method. That only we call cleanup operations. Means once the usage is completed, we have to make that objects ready for garbage collection. Either you have to assign to null or we have to call close method. Then who is taking care of writing this piece of code? Who is writing this piece of code? Programmer. So this is the hectic job to the developers. So the developers has to identify which objects are no longer used and make that objects ready for garbage collection. So this is the hectic part to the developers. Okay, so this is the place where Spring will come into picture here. So what is the role of Spring now? In Spring, the life cycle of an object is taken care by Spring framework. In Spring, the life cycle of an object is taken care by whom? By Spring framework. Okay, that means this object creation is done by Spring now. We have to only use the object. Once the object is given, we have to just use the object, and destruction is also taken care by what? Spring only. Means Spring only will identify the objects which are no longer required and make that objects ready for garbage collection. Our work is only to use the objects. Very important point. In Spring, the objects are created using Spring Bean XML configuration file. So understanding this file is the major important point for us today, right? So how to create this XML file and how to create objects in Spring using this XML file. That's the main thing to understand. How to inject one object into another. That's the main thing to understand. And one more point. If you are using a constructor here to give the value to this property, this we call constructor injection. This we call it as what? Constructor injection. So we can even go with setter method like write set card, which takes card as reference argument. Then we can even say this dot card equal to card. So this we call setter injection. So in Spring, we can inject one object into another only in two ways. Either you can go with constructor injection or setter injection only. Only two ways we have to follow here. Right? Clear up to here? Any questions? Right? Now, since Spring is used to develop any type of applications, so whichever the type of application you want to develop, we can make use of only those modules here. So Spring is what? Module based framework. So here we are having the modules like Spring modules. It has having so many modules. I'm listing out some of the important modules which we use. Like it is divided into module based here. Like initially we go with Spring Core or Bean module. Then next and very important, Spring DAO module. It's mainly for database connection, where it goes with three submodules like Spring JDBC module, Spring ORM module, where we integrate with Hibernate, then Spring Data JPA module, very important. Then next we are having Spring MVC module. This is mainly used to develop web applications. It's for web applications. Then very important module, Spring Boot module. Then Spring REST module. So this is used to develop REST APIs. REST APIs, it's for mainly distributed applications. So application to application interaction we do by using Spring REST module. So these are the modules we'll be covering. So the planning is like today we go with core module, then next class day 2 JDBC, third ORM, then fourth MVC module, fifth Spring Boot module, then we'll continuously use Spring Boot only, then sixth Spring REST. In that only we cover this Spring Data JPA module. So total 6 classes to complete this Spring. Right? So any questions anyone before we proceed further? So let us start developing our first application. Developing a Spring application in Eclipse using Maven. Open Eclipse. So I've taken a new workspace Spring here. Let me close the welcome screen. Now create a Maven project like this. File, new Maven project. Then make a check mark here. Create a simple project. Say next. Group ID. Let me say Spring. Artifact ID, the project name, Spring project. Then click on finish. So the project will get created. How to create? First step, create a Maven project. Click on File, New Maven project. Make check mark. Make check mark to create a simple project. Create a simple project. Skip archetype selection. Then click next. It will ask you the group ID. I'm giving it as Spring. Anything. Artifact ID, the project name, Spring project. Then click finish. Now, once the project is completed, then we need to add the dependencies. So the beauty of Spring is like whichever the modules you want to use, only those dependencies we can add. That is the beauty of Spring. No need to add complete dependencies. So only the module what you require, we can add only those dependencies. So since we are going with only this Spring Core or Bean, we need to add only one dependency here. So if you open this pym.xml file, where to add in between dependencies element. So in between dependencies element, we need to add the dependency here. So what dependency we need to add over here is, open Google and say Spring context Maven dependency. Spring context Maven dependency. Open the Spring context. So here I'm going with the version. You can go with any 5 version. So just you can copy my codes. So copy this piece of code and paste over here. In between dependencies element, you paste it here. So Spring context we are going with 5 version. You can go with any 5 version. Now, once we save this, see in Maven dependencies, see the jar files got added into the project. So this is the main beauty of going with Maven tool. So this dependency we need to add. So for today, just we are adding only one dependency as we are working with only core module. So what is our next step? Add the following dependency in pym.xml file of Spring project. So in between dependencies element, we need to add this. So I'll be sharing the code. Now, once we do this step, the next thing, let us create a package, com.spring in src main Java folder of Spring project. Now, in this package, create a class book in com.spring package. Let us create one more class. We call it as Spring Bean class. Okay, the terminology we call Spring Bean class. It's a simple Java Bean classes, but the terminology we say Spring Bean class. Create a class, create a Spring Bean class library in com.spring package. So we are just creating two classes here. One is book class and one more library class. Now, under src main Java, create a package, right click and say new package, com.spring, any package. In this package, create a new class. Let us go with the name book. Now, go with the properties, private int book id, private string book name. So the main object of today's class is how to write Spring Bean XML file. But the importance of Spring we'll understand in next class only when we come to JDBC module. Now in order to give value to these properties, let us go with a constructor. How to create constructor? Right click and say source, generate constructor using fields, generate. So how we are giving value to the properties now? Using a constructor. Then we call it as constructor injection. We call it as what? Constructor injection. Now when a class contains parameters or constructor, it is the role of the developer to create a default constructor. It is a responsibility of the developer to create this default constructor. Now the next step, create one more Bean class. Right click on package and say new class library. In library, let us go with the property book. This is our property. Now, in order to give value to this property, let us go with setter injection. How to create setters and getter methods? Right click and say source, and you can see the option generate getters and setters. Select all and generate. So now how we are giving value to property using setter method? So this we call setter injection. This we call setter injection. Clear up to here, all of you? The two Bean classes. So in this example, library is dependent on book here. So to the library, we need to inject book object now. Okay, this only we call dependency injection. Now in Java, what we use it to do? We use it to create book object, then we use it to create library object, then we use it to call set book method and pass book object as reference, as argument here. Okay, that's the way we use it, right? But what Spring says, I'll create objects for you, just to use it. I'm going to create objects. So what is the need of Spring? Why Spring is creating objects? So that Spring only will take care of destructing that objects. Only our work is to use the objects. Okay. How to create objects in Spring is very important file now, very important code. This is the major thing. Create Spring Bean XML configuration file. Let me go with the name library.xml, any name, in src main resources folder of Spring project. This is the major important code. Where to create under assessment resources, right click and say new, other, XML file. Say next. Go with the name, any name, library.xml. Come to source tab. Now here we have to follow the templates I'll be sharing. Spring Bean configuration XML file template. I'll be sharing this file. Copy this piece of code, and paste over here. Right? Now start configuring now. So here how to start is like bean ID. We have to use the element bean ID. And what is the root tag of Spring Bean XML configuration file? Remember beans. Remember this. Now start writing the code. Bean ID equal to lib, class equal to com.spring.library. So in our test class or main class, when you refer to this bean ID lib, it is going to create object of library class, and that object will be returned to us. So this is the way to create objects here. So Spring will create the object now for you. Now in library class, how many properties do we have? One property. And how we are giving value to property? Setter injection. Then we have to use the element. When you are going with setter injection, we have to use the element here property. Property name equal to book. Property name book. Since this property book is what? It's a bean again. Bean means class. Simple way to remember, bean means class. So again, we have to use the element bean. Bean ID equal to book. It's an object of class com.spring.book. Since property book is a bean, again we have to use the element bean ID equal to book. It's an object of its class? Book class. In book class, how many properties do we have? Two properties. And how we are giving value to property? Constructor injection. Then here we have to use the element for constructor. We have to use the element constructor arc. Constructor arc value equal to 101. Then constructor arc value equal to learn spring. Okay, so this 101 will go to book ID, learn spring will go to book name. So now these two property values are ready with values. These two are ready now. That's it. So this completes our XML file. Clear with this XML file? Right? Compulsory you need to practice, very important. And the beauty of Spring we'll understand in the next class only when we come to JDBC, Spring JDBC. Now understand carefully. When you create this bean element inside the property, then this book bean can be used only within library. Now I want to make a bean to be used globally, means some other bean also should able to refer to this bean. Then what we have to do? We have to create this bean outside here like this. Then how this property book refers to this book bean now? Here we have to use the attribute ref equal to book. So this is the suggested way of writing the codes. So here we have to take bean ID lib, creates object of library class with a property book, and when is a reference book, it will refer to this ID book. This should match. This reference name and this ID name should match. Then only it will inject this book into your library. Now, in reality, in library, will you have only one book or multiple books? Multiple, right? We'll have multiple books. How to manage multiple? By going with collection list here. Go with what? List of books. We're going to have what here? List of books. Now, generate setters and getter methods for list of books. So here we're taking set books, which takes list of books as argument, get books, which returns the list of book here. The same setter injection. Now how to manage multiple books here? How to inject multiple books into this library? Now see it. So here we are having the property name books. Here we are having the property name books. Right? Now here let us go with multiple books. Let me say book 1. Let us add some more books here. Book 1, book 2 and book 3. We are creating 3 book objects here. Let us change the data 102 learn Hibernate, 103 learn Angular. So we are creating totally 3 book objects here, book bins. Now we need to inject these 3 books into this property books now. Since this books is a list, here, we have to use the element list. And to this list simply say reference bin equal to book 1. So when you say reference bin equal to book 1, then this book 1 will get added to this books property. Similar way, reference bin equal to book 2. Reference bin equal to book 3. So this is the way to add multiple books into this library, into this property books here. So this completes our total Spring Bean XML configuration file. Clear? Any questions? Very important one, compulsory you need to practice. The syntaxes are important. How we are writing this XML file is important. Because next class we will directly write the codes. Not more elaboration will be there related to XML file. Now, the final step. Create a test class, library test in com.spring package. This we need to run. Right click on com.spring and it's a new class library test with main method. Now, here, first thing we need to load our Spring Bean XML configuration file. How to load Spring Bean XML configuration file is by using a interface application context. Context equal to the implementation of application context interface is done by using new class path XML application context. So this class path XML application context implements application context. Then to this constructor we need to pass our XML file library.xml. So this is the way to load our Spring Bean XML configuration file. Now import the packages. Now we have to get the bin like this, library lib equal to, we have to call the method context.getBean lib. So when you say context.getBean lib, it goes to library.xml file, sees the bean id lib, this should match lib, this lib, this is important. So when you are referring to this bean id lib, what it is going to do, it's going to create object library with the property books, and these 3 books will get injected to this books property. Then library object is ready with values. So single line of code will make our objects ready to use. Now we are getting error because getBean method returns object, go with typecasting. Now this object is ready. Now invoke the getBook method like this. List book books equal to lib.getBooks. So when you call this method, setBooks will get executed. Now the book, this method will get executed. Then this property is ready with values. Now when you call the method getBooks, which returns a list of books. Here, when you call the method getBooks, which returns a list of books. Now traverse the list. For book b:books, then print the object book. That's it. We are just traversing our books list. Now so when we run, so we are getting here book @ code. So whenever you are printing object in SOP, which method? ToString method. So to go to this book class and override the ToString method. Return book ID space book name space book. That's it. Only two things, right? Now see when we run, we get here our books. Okay. So we can even use like this. Books.forEach from Java 8 version. We can even use this for each, and you can say system.out2:println. Okay, so this we can use from Java 8 version. Okay, now see same result. See, we are getting same result using method reference. Java 8 version feature. Okay, using method reference Java 8 version feature. Okay, so this is very simple to traverse our list here. Okay, clear all of you? Any questions? So very important, please practice this compulsory. So if you practice this, then only we can understand next class very easily. So in the next class, we'll go with a new module, Spring JDBC module. So every day I want to do only one module to make it simple and clear for you. Right? Thank you all and happy weekend.
Thank you, Raj.